Friends, I read 195 books in the whole year of 2024. I know that sounds like a lot. Maybe I should have read a whole round 200, but we landed at 195. And today I am spotlighting my favorite books of 2024, my top five. It was so hard to narrow down to five because I read some fantastic books, but these are the ones that just stuck with me, live rent free, and I keep thinking about it. And I'm going to want to read over and over the years to come. I'm also making it two for one though, because there were also five I'm going to spotlight that just did not live up to the hype for me. And there were rave reviews. There were so much hope going into it, and they just fell short for me. So let's just dive in and talk about all things of this year full of stories. It was so hard to even rank these, but to even narrow it down to five because I loved so many books this year, so many books. And if you haven't heard me talk about all my monthly recaps, because I talk about all my favorite ones almost each month, I've skipped a few months and I started partway during the year, but they're in there. So go check them out. Like this November one. I didn't do a December one because this is kind of going to be part of that. But these were great. I'm not going to include them in my top five because I have made a bunch of different videos about why I love them so much and why you should go read them, why you should theorize with me, and why Onyx Storm coming out, I'm really excited about and I can't wait, theorize everything. I mean, look at it. That's all I'm going to say about it, and we'll leave it at that. Definitely a great read, but I'm not going to put that in my top five. So I'm giving myself a free pass there. Okay. Welcome back, friends. If this is your first time here at Amy Ann's Reads, you are so welcome here. I'm glad to have you. And I'm just a mom that loves to read. I work full time, so I put it in where I can and I get lost in stories, and I absolutely love it. I come with all sorts of book chat, book theories, book recommendations of all genres and for all ages because I love things for my kids as well. And so we share about that. So if you love talking everything books, you are in the right place, and I am so glad you're here. And if you're returning, thank you for being here and welcome back. My arms are always open for people that loves to talk everything books. If you feel comfortable, I would love for you to leave a comment with where you're joining me from because I want to make this a community, a place where you feel seen, heard, and cared for. And so this should be a positive environment where you are able to share your feelings, your recommendations, your opinions, and feel like you are being heard in a respectful way, which brings me to number two. This is supposed to be a safe place for people, and there are people that will use the internet for all kinds of mean things, and this is not the place. I have no tolerance for that. It's supposed to be uplifting. We're all going to have different opinions on books. It's just the way it is because we all come with different experiences. We're all in different life stages. We just and books speak to us all differently. And I think that is also the beauty of being able to discuss books together, share books with each other, and just talk openly about some of these things that stories brew up in us because the good stories really make us feel things, remember things, learn things. It doesn't matter if it's fiction, nonfiction, just do that. And that's what we're talking about here. So if you have nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. But if you have opinions, facts, things that you want to share, please, by all means do. And not everyone is going to agree with you. Not everyone is going to agree with me. That's okay. We are all different. That is the beauty of us being all unique people. Now I'm getting off my soapbox and we're diving in. So the first one, I do not have a hard copy, but The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab was phenomenal. There was just something about the premise of there is this person, Addie LaRue. She lives a very long life because she is not mortal. And she is cursed with people do not remember her. So she has to start this new life over every day, even though there are people that love her. There are people she loves and cares for, but they do not remember her. And it was just this really hard thing for me to think that is very, very lonely for you to remember others, but for others not to remember you and all the memories that are special to you, and for people to not share in that. That is very, very hard. And I think there are so many people out there that struggle with loneliness. And my voice is quavering just thinking about the pain that people go through. And I'm so blessed to have people that care for me and then I care for them. Um, but that is a very lonely way to live. And she chose into that. She sacrificed that as a wish that she made one time, and it reverberated for life. And what a thought-provoking book. So obviously, can you see the emotions that it evoked out of me just in remembering it? And that was my first book by V.E. Schwab, so that will definitely not be my last book. And I read a few other books of hers as well. There are more on my TBR, but fantastic. It was a great year of discovering new authors as well. And I'll talk about some of my favorite authors that I discovered. But try out new authors, friends. And this was also narrated by Julia Whalen, who I have talked about in all kinds of stuff, audiobooks. If you haven't checked out my audiobook video, it is here, so go check it out. But Julia Whalen is one of my and many other people's favorite narrators because she's fantastic. She does male voices, she does female voices, she does any voice. Read me a grocery list. I don't care. I love it. I should have also said that this video for top books are going to be for fiction books because I could go on nonfiction. I tried to mix different things and I couldn't. I couldn't mix them. I couldn't choose. So this is purely for fiction books. If you want a nonfiction book, comment and say top nonfiction books because I have a lot of nonfiction books that I loved. Also, I will add one bonus at the end of a book that I absolutely loved this year that was nonfiction, but that will be a bonus at the end if you stick with me. So one of the ones that fell flat, even though I had heard so many reviews and it's gone viral and all that, Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings was not for me. It was, I see the potential, but it is basically like a soap opera in a book. There was just too much that was a crash waiting to happen, and I did not feel like that was worth my time. So I apologize. I know people rave, especially about the last book in the series. I just cannot bring myself to invest in, I think it's 5 books to get to that point. And if anybody wants to convince me otherwise, please let me know why I should continue on. But based on the first book, I finished it. I didn't DNF it. I finished it, but I am not continuing on unless someone gives me a very, very strong argument why I should. Now back to my favorites. This is an ARC that I received from NetGalley. If you have not heard me talk about ARCs, which are advanced reader copies, again, go here because I talk about ARCs and how I've got them and some of my favorite ones. But this one is called Eat Post Like by Emily Arden Wells. And I will preface probably this whole video with I hit 40 this year. I shared that reflection, emotional journey of this year and of turning 40 and the things that I am thinking through in this book on my channel, This Japanese American Life. But I think it's combined with that, a lot of life transitions, a lot of things where I'm thinking about priorities and what I want for my life, what I want for my family's life, where this just hit home. My heart was hit. And it is about a woman that works a lot. She has aspirations for her career, and a lot of the time she thinks of when I get to partner, I will do those fun things, those trips, spend more time with my boyfriend, all of these things. A lot of us do this, right? Of when I get this, I will then allow myself to go have fun, go do this, whatever it is. We do that thinking a lot, and her boyfriend suddenly dies. And a lot of her mindset shifts, and he actually was the face of a viral foodie account. And she had no idea he had this whole life and plan for their life. And she just never made time to join him in all the different things that he had invited her to, wanted her to come to. And it's her journey of living through that grief, those regrets, and embarking on her own journey of finding herself, finding what she wants for her life, and kind of discovering all the things that she did not know about her boyfriend that she absolutely loved and wished she could do things over again. And so it is a beautiful story that is coming out in April of 2025. So it is coming. When it does come out, I would look out for that. I absolutely loved it. It is her debut novel, and I loved it. I loved it, loved it, loved it. Probably because I'm a foodie. If for those that don't know, I have a foodie Instagram account, a foodie. I don't know if you call it a foodie YouTube channel, but a lot about food. And I could talk about food, travel, books all day. So, yeah. And I've been a working mom. I've been in the corporate life for almost 20 years. I've been a mom for half of that, being a working mom, and all those things of juggling priorities and wanting multiple things. It just hit. So I'll leave it at that. I could go on forever. Another one that fell short was Educated. And I had heard so many good things about this. And who knew this is actually also narrated by Julia Whalen. And the narration was fantastic, but I have come to figure out about myself that when there is stuff about domestic abuse, it just turns me off. It bothers me. It is triggering. And so I think it was one of those things where it has that in it. And I just couldn't keep going. Again, I did not DNF it. I try to finish books. There are very few that I do not finish, and I came close because I didn't know if I could continue on, but I felt like I needed the hope of what is to come, even though I kind of knew the story of what was going to happen, but I wanted to follow it through. So I did, and I don't regret reading it, but am I glad I read it? I don't think I can say I was glad I read it. And I want to recognize that there's a beauty in stories, and this is a real story, right? It is a real person's life. And I think that just makes it even harder, maybe for me to read and to struggle with that there are real people that struggle in this way, and it's not just this person. There are so many that hurt in this way, and that just breaks my heart. So there are some stories that I just can't. I just can't. Um, it ends with us, it begins with us was one of those things too, where people love it, people loved the movie. I can't watch it. I read it, I can't watch it. And I didn't put that in my top list here, but it was just one of those. The Grid Alone was another one also by Kristen Hanna. Love her writing. It is absolutely beautiful. Another one narrated by Julia Whalen, but also has domestic abuse. And I just will not buy it for myself because I know I won't read it again. I can't. There's just something about that theme. And there is something to know about yourself, right? That you do not want to read some of the themes like this or certain tropes. And so I've discovered that myself, and I will steer clear of some of those. So if you have recommendations on books, don't recommend anything with domestic abuse in there, please, because I just won't read it. Third book I loved, which I'm picking out one. Can't believe this number three at the beginning of the year. This was the first book book series I read at the beginning of 2024, and I loved it so much that I bought the box series because I read it on ebook. But third book I loved, which I'm picking out one, can't believe this number three at the beginning of the year. This was the first book series I read at the beginning of 2024, and I loved it so much that I bought the box series because I read it on ebook. But Kingdom of Ash, Queen of Storks is also fantastic, or Queen of Shadows. Okay, so Kingdom of Ash, I'm just gonna say was, I mean, it's kind of what finishes it all off, right? Queen of Shadows was also one of my faves, but the whole series, I just mm, mm, mm. The whole journey into fiction or re-journey into fiction for me started with A Court of Thorns and Roses, but I loved Throne of Throne of Glass, Throne of Glass more so than Court of Thorns and Roses or any of our other Sarah J. Maas series. If you are looking for something that is fantasy, that is not super spicy, because Court of Thorns and Roses gets quite spicy, you know what I mean? But this one is not. It is action, it is relationships, it is fantasy, magic, thrones, fighting, politics, all that kind of stuff, everything all in one. And I know it's long, I know it's a commitment, but I'm telling you, it is worth the commitment. It is so heavy holding this, but she is the queen of fantasy. It was great. It was great. Just go do it. And I bought this for like $39. There was a sale. I was on it. And this made me realize why people collect books because let me show you. Because let me show you, I also bought the collector's edition because I loved it so much. I don't even get hardcover books or hard copy books very often, but this, loved it. Loved it. I had to keep it. So yeah, I now have two Throne of Glasses. Another one that fell short for me was The Wedding People. This was on all kinds of lists and recommendations from celebrities. And I don't know if it was just overhyped for me. I read it, I liked it. I actually went back and increased my review or thoughts stars in my head on it because it did make me think and it made me actually like it more as I thought about it afterwards. But while I was reading it, I was going, okay, this is kind of weird. This isn't what I was expecting. And it didn't really engage me with all the different characters. I just didn't come away going, "Oh my gosh, I love all these people. I wish I could live in this world like the other ones did." Like I want to be their best friends. There was none of that. Or there was no I wish I could understand more of the story of so and so or things like that. So it was okay. It was just really, really hyped up. Okay, my second best read of the year, and I'm going to have to say it's life's too short, but I'm going to go on an author. I'm cheating because I love everything Abby. And if you have not heard me talk about Abby Jimenez, she has become a huge author, especially with Just for the Summer being on the Goodreads list, even though she didn't win. I voted for her for or her book in the Goodreads awards. And Emily Henry won a lot of things, and I like her books too, but I'm sticking with my Abby train every single book she has written, six so far. I got to read the arc of the seventh one. I'm so blessed to have been able to do that because Say You'll Remember Me is coming out in March, April. March or April in the spring of 2025, but I was able to read it and it was absolutely beautiful. If you have ever cared for an elderly parent or relative, this one is about dementia and love and caring for um, someone long distance and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I'm digressing, but everything Abby is my number two on my top five. But this one, if I had to pick one book, I think it is Life's Too Short, just because, again, I am in that phase of thinking about life priorities and what would you do if you didn't know how much time you had to live? What would be your priority? And she actually has a big YouTube channel, and she kind of started it because it was documenting what she thought might be a shorter than she would want life because of a gene that she had. And so I think it's the YouTube part of it, as well as this what do I want to do with my life? How do I want to be remembered? Who do I want to spend that time with? All of that kind of stuff bubbled into one. And that's why Life's Too Short was one of my absolute favorites from Abby. Yours truly is one that other people, if they had to pick one, would definitely pick this. Again, this is before some of her newer stuff came out. I know Just for the Summer gets a lot of the rave reviews, but this one, if you have anxiety or you know someone that struggles with anxiety, this portrays that so well. The main character has um, anxiety, and that often gets misread by people as angry, mad, aloof, like all of that, right? And so it is a beautiful telling of what someone with anxiety might live like, might struggle with, and how we might be able to help people or love and care for the people that struggle with different things like anxiety or any sort of other thing that we might not necessarily understand, or we might not think that it's quote unquote normal to deal with things in certain ways or think about things in certain ways. But anyway, everything that Abby writes, it just eyeball every single time because there's so many emotions that are evoked out of me. And some of these characters, they're all standalones, but they're interconnected standalones. And so there are other books in the series. These are two different series, but if you read the other ones, it makes them that much better. And you love the characters that you get to know and you get invested in them. And then when you learn more about them, you come to appreciate them even more. And so, yes, these are books that I bought because I want to come back to them. I want to reread them. I want to live in these worlds where people love each other in a fabulous, imperfect, but amazing way, because nobody's perfect, right? But anyway, here we go. Abby Jimenez. Check out that video if you don't know how to start, where to start. I shared some things, but that has the complete retelling of why I think you should rate it. Number two on the overhyped or didn't live up to the expectations list is things we never got over. Um, there was so much hype. There was so many recommendations to read this. It is a three-part series in the town of Knockemout, and I enjoyed it. It was just quite long. Um, there was a lot. There was a lot. And yes, I came to love the characters. And I actually liked the later ones more of the series. There's three in the series. I think I liked the last one actually the best. But I was really, really looking forward to it because this was gifted to me, and I'm so thankful this was gifted to me. But I I don't know. I cannot put it in my top favorites. If I didn't read it again, I would be okay. Am I glad I read it? Yes, but I, I don't know. I guess I just don't have that much to say about it. The sister kind of drove me crazy. Like, seriously, come on. And then Naomi, she's too nice and just keeps falling for the stuff. And yeah, I don't know. I just, that's all I have to say. All right. This probably will not come as a surprise, but my top favorite right here, I'm gonna reach for it because I actually have it. I said I don't have that many hard copy of books that I read because I do audio or digital copy a lot, but this, and this is also going to be an author because Kate Stewart. That's all I have to say. She has become my top fiction person, and I will drop everything and read what she writes. Like Slight Before Christmas was one that she surprised us with for Christmas. It is a Christmas set series. This is the second book in it, but if you are a parent or if you have been married for a long time or you are friends with a parent, you are anybody, you should go read it. She does spicy romances, and so if you're not okay with spicy, then it's not for you. This one is a darker spicy romance, and there is so much drama in it, but every single time I hear the audio clips, it just brings me back to that place and it makes me want to go back to Triple Falls, North Carolina, and I want to go visit it. And oh my gosh, I bought book merch. I there's Legacy series, the Ravenhood Legacy series coming out. So there's One Last Rainy Day, and then there's going to be a total of 4 books so far that are coming in 2025 and 2026, including One Last Rainy Day, so 3 more. I will read them all because they are expansions on the characters that are in here, and you come to love and be invested with every single one. And there are multiple main male characters that come into play in the romantic sense, and people are divided. People fight should or should have been the end person because you love all of these characters so, 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 so much. Oh my gosh, I never thought that I actually would enjoy these books, and Flock was not really my favorite, actually. The first time I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much sex in here. Is that it, And but people kept telling me to go, and so I went on to Exodus, and I just couldn't put it down. I was bawling. I don't think I have cried that hard in a book, but I did it. I devoured it. The audiobooks are fantastic. I now see why people have things in multiple methods of reading. I listened to an audiobook, then I bought these, and then I started reading it again in the same year, friends. And then I got Kindle Unlimited, and then I started reading it again, even though I had read them, but like at the library, I was like, oh, I love this book. And I would just go to one chapter that I really liked. I was like, oh, I gotta go read that again. It just takes me back. And now there's all kinds of beautiful editions also that people do rebindings and sprayed edges and stuff. And my wallet can't handle it, friends, but if I could, these are the ones that I would go buy again. And she also has Drive and Reverse and the Bittersweet Melody in that Bittersweet Symphony series, which was also fantastic. I have not bought the hard copies of that, but those are the 2 series I've read, other than the Christmas Hijinks, I think that's what it's called, series. But 2025, friends, I'm going to read all of her books. I'm going to read them. I'm going to make a video of how you should dive into the Kate universe, just like I did for the Abby universe. So stay tuned for that. And if you're as excited as I am to read through all of her books, or you want to do it with me, let me know in the comments. I need to find real life friends that love this series as much as I do, because I could talk about it all day. I could talk about it all day. And I know my husband read Flock and Fourth Wing and Iron Flame with me, and I think he'll read Iron or Onyx Storm with me too, but I don't think he's gonna read these with me. Or maybe I should try to convince him. Do you think I should try to convince him to read these with me and see if he will even give it sort of? kind of scared for him to read it actually because it gets quite spicy. And then he'll be like, "What the heck are you reading?" But anyway, yeah, Kate Stewart, go read it. Spicy romances galore. I think she has like spicy sports, spicy like almost mafia-ish, spicy parents, spicy college students, spicy I don't know what else. And so I'm gonna go find out this year. So number one sport spot, all that to say is Kate Stewart, and this is where I started. This is where I'll keep going back. This is going to be an annual. Slight Before Christmas is going to be an annual Christmas read for sure, if not more than that. How do I come back from that to a not as exciting book? The Life Impossible by Matt Haig. I loved The Midnight Library. I didn't put that in my top five of favorite books, but it was a phenomenal book that also made me really, really think about like how would you go back through your life? What chapters would you re-want to do? What what books would you open and try to relive again? And maybe I didn't say that in the very best way, but I loved The Midnight Library and everything that it made me think about, and um, that even if you go redo things in your life, it might not turn out the way you expected. So stop wishing you did it a different way. You can't go back anyway, but even if you did, it probably wouldn't be that perfect way that you are imagining in your head. So because I loved that book, I was really looking forward to the new release by him in The Life Impossible, and it just was too out there for me. I just didn't connect with this journey that this person went on and took a house that was gifted for her in by this practically a stranger, but funny enough, right? We do nice things for people and it could impact other people way more than it does for us. But she went on this journey because a house was gifted to her, but then she was in danger because she had magical powers that other people felt threatened by, and people were out to get her, and it was just very, very strange. Um, yeah, but I don't want to end on a weird, sad note. So let's go to that bonus, which is my nonfiction book that I really enjoyed. And it's not a new release or anything, but it is Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. It is a memoir of his life growing up in South Africa as a half or multicultural child, which is not allowed. And it is funny. It is beautiful. It is written well. It just tugs at your heartstrings. It was a great read. It was a fantastic read, and he does all the voices himself. I did the audiobook. It is an Audible exclusive, so if you have credits, go use it in that way. You won't regret it. Well, I shouldn't say that because everybody has different opinions, right? But I thought it was phenomenal and a fantastic read. I always love hearing about other people's stories and the way that their experiences have shaped them, who they are, and how they have overcome all of these different things to get to where they are. And it makes me appreciate people even more. Everybody has a story to tell. I have a story to tell. You have a story to tell. Everything is important and beautiful and has made me who I am, made you who I am, and we should share with each other in a vulnerable way, and I loved it. So, all that to say, thank you for joining me in this journey through my best and my not so favorite books and reads of 2024. I would love to hear the ones that stood out for you, or maybe the ones that didn't hit so hard for you. Also, in 2024, so we can kind of talk about this together, have this forum, have this community that is being built where we care for one another, recommend things to one another, and are really excited for someone else to read books that we love so we can talk about them and share in our mutual love of stories and adventure. If you enjoyed this video, remember to subscribe and let me know so in the comments, or if you want specific content in 2025, I would love to hear your thoughts, what you want more of, because that's what it should be, right? Things that I love doing and things that are beneficial to you. So I always love hearing from you. Put that in the comments. And if you haven't checked out the Abby universe already, like I said, because that is a whole universe you need to go through, go check it out here, and I'll see you in the next video. Happy reading.